My friend, her dad passed away, and she said, I'm just trying to get back to myself. And I said, well, that's going to be your problem. You will never be yourself again. This is the new version of you. Get to know her, because you can never be yourself, because the last version of you had a dad. He's not here, so you have to learn to be this person.
Good day, everybody. Welcome back to the Warrior Metaphysic. Thank you for tuning in to the channel. With it being Memorial Day weekend, I felt it would be a good idea to do a video on grief. A lot of times we hear people say, Happy Memorial Day. That never really resonated with me. Memorial Day is a time designated to celebrate, acknowledge the lives of people that we've lost, our loved ones. So that being said, there may be a trigger warning in this video. I did my best to make it not be too heavy, but also find some nuggets in it that are soothing and different ways to process grief. So I hope it resonates with you on that level. I do feel like there were some soothing nuggets for ourselves as being someone who is going through grief, and also how to be there for others in their grief. It's not always easy to know how to be there for a friend or loved one that's grieving. And sometimes the best way to be there for someone in their grief is to just simply be there, simply sit with them in those moments. And that being said, I invite you to see me as a friend sitting with you in your grief, if you're grieving someone right now, sitting with you as we watch these videos together. So let's get started.
There's something to be said about a friend that will sit with you in grief, that will go to the bottom of hell with you, not to give you advice, not to tell you how you should have done it this way or should have done it that way, but to sit there with you, to tell you that, yeah, it sucks, but they're there for you. Those friends that will sit there in complete silence just to be there for you. Just to give you a hug, just to show you that there are good people that will support you. If you're one of those people, thank you. Not because you do anything for me, but for all those people in your life that you are their support.
They don't tell you about grief. They don't tell you that you die too. They don't tell you that after the funeral, after the calls have stopped, once you try to get back to your old self and your old life, you realize the old self has died. Without your consent, without you being aware, the old you died as well. They don't tell you about that. Nobody tells you how to grieve the you that you were before your loved one passed away. So we lose that person that we love, and we also lose ourselves. Not only do we lose ourselves, we lose access to our old worlds and our old reality, and that hurts. No one teaches you how to grieve you. When my mom first passed away, I wasn't aware that, I thought I had to grieve her only. Nobody told me that I would literally have to lose myself. And I searched for the old me. I searched for her. And when I couldn't find her, it broke me down so bad, because she was all I've known. She was all that I was used to. I couldn't find her. And I realized that the old me no longer existed. And that was a whole different layer of grief. I had to mourn my mom, and I still do. But you mean to tell me I gotta mourn myself? You have to let yourself go, and that's so hard. Nothing prepares you for it. Our identities literally perish with the person that we love, because they were connected to who we were. They were connected to our experience. And no one teaches us how to mourn ourselves. No one teaches us how to let go of the old us. No one even teaches us that we have to let go of the old us. When my mom died, I died. Period. I did. I realized that I laid myself to rest, sometimes over and over and over again. I had to let go of the version of me that I was because she doesn't exist. No, she does not exist. I had to take time to mourn me. So you didn't just lose them. You've lost you. On your grief journey, I want you to make time to mourn yourself.
Grief cannot be rushed.
Thank you to Brittany D. Spivey for that message.
Grief takes its time. Everyone grieves differently. The pain of grief can be overwhelming, so we avoid it, and therefore we often prolong it. Address your grief. Know that it's there. If you experience loss or great difficulty, then more than likely big energy that needs movement and release. Numbing is not doing that. Going to drugs, excessively working, trying to forget. We have to be active. We have to journal. We have to allow tears to come. We have to give ourselves opportunities to release anger and pain. We have to reflect. We have to create space for grief without being too busy. Even if you spend 15 minutes a day, put a sad song on and allow yourself to cry. Whatever it is, be with that. Once it's done, move on. Integrate. Pleasure in your body. Ground. Use somatic resources. Drink a glass of water. Exercise. Be around friends and laugh. Then come back to your grief. It will pass. It will lessen. The intensity will lessen, but we have to move through it. It's the only way. Otherwise, we're going to repeat patterns again, and we're going to bring more relationships like that into our lives because we need to complete the cycle of grief.
I never knew that I would have to do life from 27 for the rest of my life without my mama. Mm-hmm. You're not going to convince me that it gets easier with time. I will say it gets bearable with time, but easier, it's still prominent. I still remember. I still, those are still things, but it has not crippled me, if that makes sense.
It does.
But if I didn't understand what that feels like, if I didn't embrace that moment and say, yes, this hurts,
you wouldn't have been able to move forward with that.
Because I'm living a facade.
Exactly.
And I'm faking it until I'm making it. And then what I have is not a true experience because I don't understand myself. I can't have an intellectual conversation with you and say, you know what? I can cherish now the good times. I can see God in the midst of what happened and leading up to the life. I can go back and testify of my upbringing and my testimonies that I have and say, you know what? God is still faithful. He's still good. Because let me tell you, this is why the good outweighed the bad. Because looking back when I was depressed and when I was feeling like I was by myself and wasn't going to make it and the world had ended, to me, the world stopped. And there are so many people that are in the world right now where the world has stopped at the place of your last breakdown. You said, I'm done. You may not have confessed it with your mouth, but the way you're living, you have given up.
Grief is not just an emotion. It's an unraveling, a space where something once lived but is now gone. It carves through you, leaving a hollow ache where love once resided. In the beginning, it feels unbearable, like a wound that will never close. But over time, the raw edges begin to mend. The pain softens, but the imprint remains, a quiet reminder of what once was. The truth is, you never really move on, you move with it. The love you have does not disappear, it transforms. It lingers in the echoes of laughter, in the warmth of old memories, in the silent moments where you still reach for what is no longer there. And that's okay. Grief is not a burden to be hidden. It's not a weakness to be ashamed of. It is the deepest proof that love existed, that something beautiful once touched your life. So let yourself feel it. Let yourself mourn. Let yourself remember. There is no timeline. There is no right way to grieve. Some days will be heavy and some will feel lighter. Some moments will bring unexpected waves of sadness, while others will fill you with gratitude for the love you were lucky enough to experience. Honor your grief, for it is sacred. It is a testament to the depth of your heart. And in time, through the pain, you will find healing, not because you have forgotten, but because you have learned how to carry both love and loss together. Man, that's pretty powerful.
Grief is
Yes, honor your grief. Take whatever time you need. If you need to cry, if you want to scream, if you want to laugh uncontrollably, laugh until you cry, beat pillows, do whatever you have to do. Allow yourself to fully feel all of your emotions.
Language no one teaches you. It arrives unannounced, takes your breath, your balance, your sense of time. One moment, you're fine. The next, you're unraveling. And that's the hardest part. It doesn't follow rules. You'll wake up thinking they're still here. You'll hear their voice in a quiet room. You'll reach for your phone, then remember. And it hurts. It will always hurt. But here's the thing. Grief isn't about letting go. It's about learning how to carry, how to hold their love in the spaces they left behind. So miss them. Say their name. Feel everything. Because one day, without realizing it, you'll smile at a memory before you cry. And that's when you'll know they never really left. They live in you, still and always.
If you're struggling with...
Thank you to Core Poet for that message.
The death of a loved one, I want to give you something that was really powerful for me during the death of my father. First, I want to say that you have to acknowledge your grief, allow it, and let it come and go, because it will come and go in waves. And that is a natural part of the process, and to be gentle with yourself. But what helped me most was realizing that if I was going to honor my dad, then he would want me to continue on strong and to continue with joy. The suffering that I felt wasn't for him, because he was gone to his next adventure. The suffering that I had was for me, because I was trying to hold on to something and to someone who was never meant to be in my life forever anyway. That's not the way life works. And that if I was going to do him justice and turn from mourning his life to celebrating his life and honoring him, then I had to continue on with life with as much power and vigor and joy as he did.
Garfield, the actor, who I never thought I'd...
I know sometimes the prospect of continuing on can really sound harsh when you're not ready for it. But I think the process of grieving is allowing yourself to naturally arrive at that place. And it's going to take the length of time that it needs to take. You can't rush it, but I would encourage you to not resist it either. And you get there quicker by just allowing yourself to feel the emotions, ride those waves of grief as they show up. And I want to shout out to Ryan Justin Jackson. Thank you for that message.
On with life with as much power and vigor and joy as he did.
Garfield, the actor, who I never thought I'd be getting advice from an actor, but he lost his mother, and he talked about the wound is the only route to the gift, which is a reference to a Rumi poem. But that idea that the wound is the only route to the gift, to me, is just mind-blowing. It's a paradox. It is only, I didn't want myself to feel grief as a child. It so terrified me and scared me, and it so hurt me that I buried it deeply, and I ran from it for 40 years, and which is why my voice quivers now, because to even address it is hard for me. But the irony is, I ran from it because I didn't want to feel the pain. But in not feeling the pain, I used to hear people talk about, oh, I feel my loved one inside me. I carry them with me in my heart. And I always thought, that sounds like a Hallmark card. I don't know what they're talking about. It's only by allowing yourself to feel the pain of grief that you then get to feel them inside you. And so for the first time in my life, I feel my dad inside me. That's incredible.
You have to move through the death of a loved one, the death of a friend, as a sacred path in life. And what I mean by sacred path, we are all going to experience death of someone special. And it is a transition. It is something that we and this is what I've learned, and my mother shared this as well, we can't cast anger around it and walk that path of death with a sense of love for the person that we lost. Knowing that we are carrying their energy, their sweetness, their kindness. You're carrying that relationship that you cultivated over the years with them in your heart. So know that you're not alone in this process, and seek out the support of someone else. Be it a professional therapist, your spiritual guide, your pastor, your dear friend. And know that you can also reach out to me. Yeah, I have been through it. So I completely know what that feels like. You're not alone.
Grief doesn't just hurt, it overwhelms. But here's the hard truth. If you don't let it in, you'll never heal. Let me explain. When someone you love dies, the pain feels unbearable. And it's human nature to want to avoid it, to push it away, stay busy, or pretend you're fine. But here's the paradox of grief. The only way out is through. Psychotherapist Julia Samuels says that grief needs to rage through you with its full force. That means sitting in the discomfort, letting that sadness, anger, and confusion flood over you, and not because you want to, but because it's the only way to truly process your loss. Grief is messy and chaotic. It is not linear, and it is definitely not something you can run from forever. But here's the thing. Every tear, every scream, every moment you let yourself feel it is a step closer towards healing. Grief is love in its rawest form. And the love you feel for them deserves to be honored, not hidden. If you're grieving, it's okay to not have it all together. Just start with this. Let yourself feel one emotion today, whatever comes up. Let me hear from you in the comments if this is something you needed to hear today. And if you're not ready yet, that's okay too. You'll get there.
Be kind and be patient to those grieving the loss of a partner. Because not only are we grieving the loss of a person, we are grieving the loss of hopes and dreams that we shared with that person. When you share a life with someone, every decision you make affects them. And when you lose the person that you share life with, you have to relearn how to do everything alone and differently because of the grief that you have now and the grief that you carry. It feels like I'm a kid again, learning how to live my life, navigating different experiences in life without my partner, learning how to be around people again, learning how to be around friends and family in this new life that I'm living. And it's really hard to navigate, and it's not something that happens overnight. It's something that takes a lot of time, and a lot of different feelings come as we are trying to learn how to live again and live differently and make decisions for only ourselves. And that is kind of a bitter feeling. Something as simple as trying to figure out what to eat when you used to share meals with your person. There's just so many things. Every aspect of a widow's life changes when their partner dies. You know, society's expectations can make it hard for people to grieve properly and to feel comfortable in their grief and feel comfortable with not being okay.
I don't think anyone who suffered a tragedy that has gotten through it in some way will tell you that I needed to find deeper meaning in my life. Once something has happened that is a tragic event, a loss, a death, or anything that is a setback, some people numb themselves. You know, you just self-medicate, you numb yourself, you distract yourself. But that doesn't mean the pain's not there, it just means you're not feeling it. It's like someone that kills their nerves. So it's not going to last. So the fact is, there's really no way out. It's like, I'll cry. Like one great scholar or teacher told a student who had a tragedy, he said, I don't have answers for you, but I can cry with you. Tears are very cathartic. They're very healing. There's nothing wrong to feeling that I'm not okay. It's fine. Some people just need to know that. They think, if I'm weak or vulnerable or I'm hurt or I'm crying, something's wrong with me. No, there's nothing wrong with you. That's exactly what is natural. That when a person suffers, cry. And you don't need answers. And find people that will hold your hand. And if you're a person who's supporting someone who's gone through that, hold their hand, be there for them. You don't need to give answers. You don't need philosophies. You don't need explanations. I always say this, the greatest mind cannot speak to a bleeding heart. So it's not you're going to find some type of brilliant concept or brilliant philosophy that's going to explain away tragedy. Tragedy is just too strong, too powerful for the mind to fathom, let's be honest. The mind cannot deal with it. So you have to go deeper than the mind. And the place that's deeper than the mind is love, faith, hope, meaning, and purpose. And that's what you hold on to for your dear life. And you just forge ahead. And some days are going to be harder, and some will be easier. And I'm not going to mince words. I'm not going to say we all know it's not a party. Sometimes it's very painful. But remember, that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And if you can move from one day to the next, you get stronger, whether you know it or not. And ultimately, what will emerge is a new person. A person that you'll see that you went through the fire and you become a more powerful person in the process.
When someone takes...
Thank you to Mulligan Brothers for that message.
Their own life, I think it's really crucial to understand that it's the result of an illness of the mind, an invisible, relentless condition that distorts reality and consumes hope. And it's vital to separate the person from the illness, the human being from the pain that they couldn't escape. You can be furious at the illness, the condition, or the disease that took them. You can rage at the darkness that stole that light of theirs. But the person, they were never the enemy. If they could still be here, they absolutely would. And society does such a poor job of recognizing this. We fail to understand mental health in the same way that we do physical illness. When somebody has cancer or another terminal disease, we grieve their battle and the life stolen from them. But with mental illness, we so often turn that grief into blame, or worse, shame, forgetting that this too is a disease. The brain is an organ, just like the heart or lungs, and when it fails, it can be just as devastating. I often think of how, in the throes of physical agony, we administer morphine to ease suffering. For someone who dies by taking their own life, this act, it's often their morphine. It's not a choice they want to make. It's an act of desperation, an attempt to stop a pain that feels unending, unbearable. When my partner took her own life, I understood this soon after. If we could better understand this, if we could separate the illness from the individual, we might move closer to compassion instead of judgment. We might finally see that their life mattered not in spite of their struggle, but because they fought so hard for so long against something most of us can't begin to comprehend. I'm sorry you're going through this. I understand. Brutal then and brutal now. You're not alone here, but it's so important to understand the difference between the condition and the person. Nobody really talks about this. Nobody really talks about...
Sorry, I want to just say thank you to TikTok Tony 75 for that message.
What grief does to your brain. We talk about having a broken heart all the time, but we never really talk about what it does to the brain. When you lose somebody, it doesn't just break your heart. It messes with your entire body. Grief isn't just emotional, it's very much physical. You feel exhausted all the time, but you can't sleep. Your brain feels like it's in this fog, and you really might struggle to focus. It's like your mind isn't working the same anymore. That's because grief triggers a biochemical reaction to your body. Your cortisol level, the stress hormone, skyrockets. It's like your brain is stuck in survival mode, constantly scanning for danger. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? So you're constantly working, when really there's no danger here anymore. We're not in that trauma moment anymore. So this isn't just in your head. This is real. Your body is literally grieving with your brain. Your brain and your body, your heart, it's all grieving together. But here's the thing, you're not broken. Your brain is doing its best to protect you. It's doing the best it can to protect you, even if it doesn't feel that way. Remember, feelings aren't final and feelings aren't facts. So it's okay, and it's really important to be gentle on yourself. Healing, if we can use that word healing, and you know, to me, healing just means that we no longer make decisions based off of that trauma moment or the event or the death or whatever that disruption was. So that healing takes time, not just emotionally, but physically. And if you're feeling this right now, you're not alone. 1 out of 4 people are feeling this way right now. But remember, really remember, your body is grieving too. And it's okay to give it the time that it needs to start processing all of this.
The most important thing is don't lose your brain healthy life. It's don't let grief be your excuse to hurt yourself. So admit it, feel it. Like when I lost my dad, I spent a week crying. I mean, I purposely play his voicemails to me and just cry, and I wrote about it. I mean, feel it. But then you have to move beyond if you want to stay healthy. And too many people, they use alcohol or marijuana or bad food as a way to manage their grief. And that's the worst thing to do, because if your brain's not healthy, you won't process it. And I often say with grief, fix sleep first, because if you're not sleeping, then every bad thing will be magnified. And so BrainMD makes something called Put Me to Sleep. I love that. If I have to use medicine, sometimes I use trazodone, which is an antidepressant that also helps with sleep. But it's so important to not lose sight that your brain processes grief, and so you want to keep your brain healthy so it can do its hard work.
Thank you to BrainMD for that message.
So 1, I never speak about my deceased child in past tense. I don't like to do that. She's still here. As long as I'm here, she's here, because she's a part of me. Number 2, never compare your child's death to another grieving parent's child's death. This is not a competition. And if so, you can win every single time. And number 3, grieve how you want to grieve. A lot of people, when they lose a loved one, they don't know how to grieve. And they just go on the internet and look at all the advice in the stages of grief. Everybody grieves differently. It's okay if you grieve different than everybody else and everything you're finding on Google. It's cool. Number 4, stay away from negativity. It's a very dark world you're in when you lose a child. You question everything around you, especially the trust and love of others now. Stay away from negativity. Try to surround yourself with good people, with good energy, and good hearts. Just a few tips I got for you from my own experience. God bless.
Thank you for Child Loss Warrior for that powerful message.
But the funeral is different. I was just there. It was like I was floating through it. I was legit. I don't remember half of it. It was surreal. Puff pulled me aside and was like, look, bud, you have showed everybody what it looks like to hold a man down and to love him. Now show them what it looks like when it all crumbles. That's your responsibility. When it was like all done and everybody went back to their lives and it faded to black, then it got real. And I was like, oh shit, you in this. It's like, it's a tunnel, baby, and you gotta walk through. It's no shortcuts out. You can't turn back around because there's nothing back there. And all you see is pitch black ahead. You don't know how long this tunnel is, and ain't nobody else in it with you. You hear some people, but you can't see them.
Do you ever want to give up?
Yes.
And
those moments? Do you think about that?
Yeah, I do. But then I also feel like my kids deserve happiness. And I always like my kids deserve a very happy mom. They deserve joy. Why would I rob them of that, you know? So that gets me up.
My friend told me something beautiful about grief that I don't think I'll ever forget. They said to me that grief is like a stone and you carry it in your pocket and you'll always notice it, you'll feel it, you know it's there. But as time goes on, you get stronger. And so as you get stronger, it's not that the stone goes away, it's just that it gets lighter. Wow. And so it's lighter to carry, but it doesn't mean it's going away. You didn't move on, you didn't have to get over it. It doesn't disappear, it doesn't get smaller, it stays the same. You just get stronger, so the stone gets lighter. Yeah. And I really appreciated that idea around grief because it sat true with me that it didn't have to go away. I didn't have to let go of it. I didn't have to forget about it. And that it would always be there. But just as I grow and as I strengthen and as I become more resilient, it becomes lighter and doesn't weigh on me in the same way as the heavy feeling of grief can in the beginning.
I lost my mom back in September, and I feel like it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through. Is there anything important that you could say to anyone that's going through grief?
Meditation, definitely. Definitely it will bring cool breeze to not only you, but it reaches people on the other side because our vibration reaches all different dimensions.
I bet you'll look.
Thank you to Guru Dev for that one. And thank you all for sitting and watching this. I wanted to interrupt it as little as possible, just due to the nature of the content. Again, thank you to all of those creators who took the time to share these powerful messages. I hope that something in it soothed you in areas that you may be aware of, as well as areas that you may not consciously be aware of right now. And thank you for sitting with me. Thank you for allowing me to sit with you as a friend in your grief. If you tend to be grieving in this moment, I invite you to listen to this playlist over and over again while you're cooking, while you're sitting on the couch, while you're drinking coffee. If you ever need a pick-me-up or just grief gets to be too tough and you need to be brought back to reality. So if any of this resonated with you on some level, please drop a like. That's the way that I know that it's reaching people. If you appreciated me sitting with you as a friend in this moment as we watched these videos together, consider subscribing to the channel. And thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Look at grief differently in the next 30 seconds. What if I told you that grief isn't something to fight or fix, but that it's your mind and body's way of healing after a deep loss? Science has shown that grief is a natural process, like a bone healing after a fracture. It's not just sadness, it's your heart actually trying to rewire itself to help you carry the weight of your loss. At first, and for a while, it can feel unbearable. But with time, it can shape you in ways you never thought possible. Grief is a necessary and even transformative process. So instead of trying to bury it or hide from it, listen to your grief. Let it remind you of the love, memories, and the moments that mattered, because grief is not a weakness. It's proof that you loved deeply.
Peace and blessings.